ayah, the first 10 verses. And it starts with, I'll read it in Arabic and then translate it into English, inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alif Lam Mim. ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون والذين يؤمنون بما أنزل إليك وما أنزل من قبلك وبالآخرة هم يوقنون أولئك على هدى من ربهم وأولئك هم المفلحون إن الذين كفروا سواء عليهم أأنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون ختم الله على قلوبهم وعلى سمعهم وعلى أبصارهم غشاوة ولهم عذاب عظيم ومن الناس من يقول آمنا بالله وباليوم الآخر وما هم بمؤمنين يخدعون الله والذين آمنوا وما يهدون إلى أنفسهم وما يشعرون في قلوبهم مرض فزادهم الله مرضا ولهم عذاب أليم بما كانوا يكذبون. صدق الله العظيم. Verily Allah speaks the truth. Allah says in translation, Alif Lam Mim. This is the book and it is guidance sure without doubt for those who fear Allah, who believe in the unseen, are steadfast in prayer, and spend out of what we have provided for them, who believe in the revelation sent to thee and sent before that time, and in their hearts have an assurance of the hereafter. They are on true guidance from their Lord, and it is these who will prosper. As for those who disbelieve, whether you warn them or do not warn them, they will not believe. Allah has set a seal upon their hearts, and upon their hearings, and upon their eyes is a covering. And great is the penalty they incur. And of the people, there are some who say, we believe in Allah in the last day, but they not really believe. Fain would they deceive Allah and those who believe, but they only deceive themselves and realize and do not believe. In their hearts is a disease, and Allah will increase their disease, and grievous is the penalty they incur because they are false to themselves. And I wanted to, there's another ayah that strikes me, I think is appropriate for this gathering, is where Allah Ta'ala says in Surah Al-Shams, Allah Ta'ala swears by the soul or the self. And He says, وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَاهَا فَأَلْهَمَّهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا قَدْ أَفْلَهَا مِنْ زَكَاهَا. And it translates as, kind of different shade of a translation, by the soul and the wonderful ways in which the possibilities of integration and disintegration therefrom have been ingrained therein. Verily, he succeeds who purifies it, and he fails who corrupts it. And so I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this opening dua to bless this gathering, the sponsors of this gathering, the participants in this gathering, and to protect us from all sorts of addiction that lead us away from the remembrance of God or the remembrance of Allah. And we send countless or the choicest blessings upon our leader and master Muhammad. May the prayers and peace be upon him, his illustrious family and righteous companions, until the day of standing, until the day that Allah Ta'ala will call each and every one of us to judgment. Allahumma ameen. And the gathering say ameen. Ameen.
Brother Ali, for that beautiful recitation. And next I want to bring up Brother Jamal Al-Amin from Pittsburgh. He is also the National World Millati Islami Services Chairperson. Brother Jamal.
Assalamu alaikum. I could have just sat there and listened to this brother for the rest of the evening, and I would have been good. You know what I mean? You know, thank you, brother. Real briefly, the brothers that asked me to come out to do a little brief overview of Millati Islami, the path of peace, our model for our Islamic-based 12-step recovery program. Our founder, Zayd Imani, who returned to Allah in 2003, may Allah forgive him in paradise. He was a member of Narcotics Anonymous. Suffered from the disease of addiction, as most of us do. But he struggled because what was going on in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous wasn't conducive to his spirit. And he was struggling trying to stay clean. Now we got a motto in Millati for me: you can't deen if you ain't clean. I'm gonna say that one more time. You can't deen if you ain't clean. And the brother, he struggled, but he kept going back because he wanted to stay clean first and foremost. So he kept going back. So he started making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to show him a path and a method by which he could recover and stay grounded with his deen. And thus, Millati Islami was born. And the brother, he went around struggling, as we still struggling now today, 30 years later, trying to carry this message, you know what I mean? He met with some brothers up in Boston, Massachusetts. It was actually at a Narcotics Anonymous convention. And he sat down with these brothers and they explained the concept. And some of them caught on. I think one of the organized meetings outside of the one that was in Baltimore was in Boston. And we do have tape. We have DVDs over there on the table of that specific meeting if you guys want to purchase it. So ultimately, he formed Millati Islami and started carrying the message. There's some handouts over there that will explain this stuff a little bit, because I don't want to take up a whole lot of time, because I can stand up and talk about this all day. But there's some handouts about our history and how Zayd founded the program. But unfortunately, and like we met, and then I ultimately met Brother Jawad and the brothers from MIB, and we had retreats up in New Jersey, and we used to get together on our retreats, and the place up there, we met, had a halal food. It was like a Boy Scout camp up in New Jersey, and we would meet for the weekend. Living as Muslims, waking up to the dawn, making all 5 prayers, having all the concessions and all that, and trying to recover regularly. Now, we're struggling. One of the worst places that we struggle at is in the masjid. Now, I know some of y'all don't want to hear that, but we struggle mostly in the masjid. And I need to tell you, I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We ain't quite as swift as New York, but we got our own level of swiftness. And we got brothers in Pittsburgh that call themselves Abdullah. And Abdullah gonna cop off a Kareem because a Kareem is a Muslim. So he ain't gonna cop off the Kafir. Now listen to this. I'm talking about sitting in the hit house telling people don't eat no pork. But you got a hike with a 20 shot in it, getting ready to bang some poison in your body. And that's how confused our brothers and sisters is out there, like I was. Because I'm talking about me, I'm talking about me. So, fortunately enough, Zayd Imani developed this program, Millati Islami, modeled after the Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous program. That's where we come from. That was the womb that bore us. Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous. Yes, ma'am.
The woman that I just met today, she asked me, you haven't explained what deen is for the non-Muslims that are here. Because she asked me what is the word deen. And I gave her, I'm not even sure if I gave her the right understanding of the word. Because, you're saying...
I understand it as a way of life. But let's one of the more knowledgeable brothers give us an interpretation It's probably, he's way more knowledgeable than I am.
Okay.
You know,
Because you're saying we can't deem
Yeah.
if you ain't clean, but what do that mean to the
we
non-Muslims?
can't live our way of life the way we live it as a Muslim if we use it.
You can't live the way of life how you
Well,
want to live, even if you ain't.
that was our little model. That was our model. That's our model. And we're gonna and we'll give an opportunity.
Deen, you can replace it with religion. So you can't be a Christian, you can't be a Muslim, you can't be nothing if you ain't clean. You
Okay.
can't deen if you ain't clean. In other words, you can't follow the way of life of that religion.
So anyway, you know, we start meeting.
That's what he meant.
We start meeting. We start having meetings all over the country: Baltimore, D.C., Pittsburgh, New York, Boston. We got meetings in California. We got brothers going in and out of the prisons now. We got Master Yusuf Shaw group up in Mount Vernon, and we've been meeting, but we've been struggling. Now, one of the and it's a struggle because, you know, like the way some of us approach our religion, and you're welcome to approach it however you see fit. You know, what I do, you know, I follow the Quran and Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam first. And if the imam got something for me, I'll listen to that too, but I go check. That's how I roll. Now, I don't know about nobody else. But, you know, we struggle, man, because the sisters don't think they need to be in the room with the brothers, but you was in the hit house with me. You know, I was getting your food stamps, and I was going to cop. So if I can use with you, why can't I recover with you? So all that kind of stuff, we struggle with all those kinds of things in this fellowship. But only through the grace of Allah, we still struggle. We just had our 30th anniversary up in Camden, New Jersey, so we still here. You know, and I'm here to answer any kind of questions or anything like that. But our brother Zayd Imani, he returned to Allah in 2003, and at that time, Millati Islami World Services wasn't even formed. And you know, we was at one of the Imam Warfiq Muhammad's conventions in Chicago, in Jawad, and some of the other brothers. Some of the brothers don't even live here no more. We got together and decided we was going to keep this thing going. We developed an Ashura Council, and we just kept going. We just kept going. We just kept going to the convention. We kept doing workshops, and we're here. And ultimately, Millati Islami World Services was formed. Now, since we've been World Services, we've been servicing groups all across the world. I had an opportunity of dealing with some brothers in Zanzibar, and they took our literature and translated it into Swahili. They were supposed to be sending me a copy, you know, but we kind of like, they didn't really speak good English. They spoke broken English, so we had a hard time communicating. But, you know, every once in a while, the contact stuff that I have for them brothers, I send it to them. I haven't heard from them since. But we got people in England, British Columbia, that's hitting us on our website, www.millatiislami.org, and they see us, and I hear it all the time. We didn't know that the Muslims had this kind of a program. What we want to do is we want to reach out to the imams, the masjids, the Islamic centers, the treatment centers, and everything else, and just, look, this is what we have. You're welcome to come. You don't have to be Muslim, you know, but it'd be nice if you was, but you don't have to be. It's open for anybody to come and try to benefit from this this gift that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed Brother Zayd with, and in turn he blessed us with. Like I said, I have the literature over there. Everything that I'm trying to say, I have literature over there for it. I don't know if I could get into it. You know, I'm sure the brother's got some other kind of stuff going on for the program. But I'm gonna be sitting over there. You're welcome to come over there, ask me anything. If you want to know how to start a group, I can guide you through that. If you need books, literature, anything of that nature, we can guide you through that. You know, we just ask that you keep an open mind. Keep an open mind, and just listen to the brothers, listen to the imams, and then just try to stay focused on this. But one more thing before I go, I'm gonna read this. I read this all the time, and it's probably more for me than it is y'all. But it says in our book, this is the Millati Islami textbook we have, and we're working on updating it, putting some personal stories in there for some Muslim brothers, personal stories for Muslim brothers, you know, so that you can read about how we struggle as Muslims. I took my Shahada in 1977, went to the penitentiary, got clean in 1994, relapsed in 2005, came back in 2005, and only through God's grace and mercy, I'll be celebrating 14 years in December. In November. So that's how cunning and baffling this condition is for us, because it can get you, it can blindside you. You know, this thing been around for a long time. If you remember correctly or not, man, it's in the Quran, like, you know, the disease, what it said to Eve? I got that apple, Eve. I got that red apple. So it started back then. And it's been around all this time. And it's still here. And for the most part, I know some brothers say they cure, but for the most part, all we can do is arrest this thing and try to stay straight up and to do what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to do. Now, and as a gift, and in return, you get some benefits. Like people ask you to come say, y'all should kick me out of places. You know, they should chase me away. Get out of here. You know, and now they invite me places. So it's a beautiful thing. Let me read this. I'm gonna sit down because I know I have to walk here and get ready to shut up. You know. Okay, it says in our book, because only Allah can cure addiction, all of us, regardless of our length of sobriety, are working towards recovery from salat, prayer to salat, one day at a time. This makes every day a new beginning, and each of us a perpetual beginner who can benefit from continually re-examining how we relate to addiction and to our deen, our way of life. Remember that, because when that brother's struggling, tomorrow morning might be that new day. If you're struggling, every day is a new day. Wake up, make that fajr, that's a new day. So whatever you did yesterday, it's a new day tomorrow. Inshallah. Thanks for allowing me. Like I said, I got any questions or something, we can answer them over here. Inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum. Shukran, brother Jamal. We're traveling all the way from Pittsburgh to give us that enlightening message. May Allah reward you. At this point in the program, we ask for 3 imams to come up and share their experience, strength, and hope on recovery, whatever they'd like to speak on. Imam Musa, Imam Hatim, and Imam Musa. Come forward, please.
How do I care?
Assalamu alaikum, good evening. My brother Dubai. And the Imams is going to expound on their activities in the community
That's
and in
false.
the world.
Go. They can't
Okay.
go further.
We got Dr.
Okay. That's why you will take it up.
We got Dr. Imam Hatim, Dr. Imam Musa. We got Imam. So they're going to tell you their background, their history. We had it on our phone. I lost some of the information. I got to be honest about that. And we're going to let them expound on what they do for not only the Ummah of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, but what they do for the whole community and the world at large. So we want to expound.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, ladies.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. How do I care with the pulling of the cord? All right? I'm gonna go turn it up.
Show you how we are so in tune with each other. My beloved brother Ali recited some of the surahs that Dr. Hatim had drafted for us to expound on. So it's really, it's not necessary for me to repeat that. However, I'm going to give you a bit of my story as well as something else that we're going to present here. I heard about Millati Islam, I think in 1991 or 90, when I was in the Sajin. Sajin, if you who don't know, is in jail. There was a brother out of Baltimore who wanted me to come to Baltimore to be part of this movement. I came home, I think in 92, 93, and there was a brother from MIB, and at that time I think his name was Justice or something, I can't remember. But he wanted me to be part of this Millati Islam. For me, I didn't really appreciate the rooms. There's a brother that's here that I ran a group for Muslims in Brooklyn that was the start of Millati Islam in 93. I still didn't buy into the concept. For me, the Quran and the Sunnah was enough. However, I would not take away from the benefits that I've seen and done for my brothers and sisters. Whatever keeps you clean is what you need to do. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in Quran, for every illness there is a cure. So for me, I can't say I'm an addict. I'm clean today, but in this moment right here, I'm clean. And I've been clean, I don't almost 30 years. You know, and that's only through the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for me. And I'm not taking away from Millati Islami. I'm going to read a hadith here. Verily, the first people to be judged on the day of resurrection will be a man who was martyred. That means a man who was killed in the cause of fighting for God. He will be brought. The blessings of Allah will be made known, and he will acknowledge them. Allah will say, God will say, what did you do about them? The man will say, I fought in your cause until I was martyred. God will say, you have lied. For you fought only that it would be said that you were brave, and thus it was said. Then Allah will order him to be dragged upon his face until he is cast into the hellfire. Another man studied religious knowledge, taught others, and recited Quran. He will be, the Quran is the book which you would understand it might be the Bible. This is our religious book. Taught others, and I recited the Quran for your sake. Allah will say, you have lied. For you studied only that it would be said, you are a scholar and you recited the Quran, only that it would be said, you are a reciter, and thus it was said. May Allah protect me from that. Then Allah will order him to be dragged upon his face and cast into the hellfire. Another man was given an abundance of blessings from Allah and every kind of wealth. He will be brought, the blessings of Allah will be made known, and he will acknowledge them. Allah will say, what did you do about them? The man will say, I did not leave any good cause, beloved, to you, but I spent on it for your sake. Allah will say, you have lied, for you spent only that it would be said, you are generous. And thus it will be said, then Allah will order him to be dragged upon his face until he is cast into the hellfire. We are judged by the Almighty by what our pure intentions are. If we intend to stay clean, we stay clean for Allah because we want to be righteous people. We want to be good Christians, good Muslims, or good Jews. You want to be a believer in something. And you stay clean for self. There are correlations for the Christians as well as the Muslims in regarding scriptures and staying clean. NA and AA has been the catalyst for Millati Islam. And alhamdulillah that I look around and I see my brothers and my sisters who have recovered from this dreadful disease of addiction. And it is through Millati Islami, may it be through NA or AA, whatever it is, it has kept you clean, and that's all praises due to the one and only. We here at MIB pray that whatever is said here will benefit you to assist you in being clean. And as you heard, the brother invited those of us who are not Muslim to attend the meetings here if they need a meeting. And I believe they meet here every Thursday? Tuesdays? In that, I'm going to pass it on to my colleague and my mentor and my friend, Dr. Imam Hatim.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm very honored to be here today. And I'm honored to be in this particular space. I want to thank Allah for this space being provided for Millati Islami. We want to acknowledge Dr. Talib Abdul Rashid for the work that he has done and the support that he has given this community for substance use disorder recovery. And I say that because I've been involved for some 20, 30 years in this metropolitan area. We don't find among the Islamic community masjids, for the most part, who are willing to even acknowledge that there's an issue taking place among the older people and especially among the youth. So when I do see it, I want to acknowledge it. There are very few places, even in New Jersey, where we can have a meeting of Millati Islami with people who are suffering, or not suffering, but in recovery and need encouragement, a place where they can come and bring their burdens, that to lay their burdens down, doesn't exist. So we want to thank Allah for this community, for the work that's being done, for the brothers who, for as many years as I can remember, continue this program of Millati Islam. I just wanted to say that. Some disclosure, in my professional life, I'm an alcohol and drug counselor in New Jersey, in Newark. In my particular practice, we have patients who are co-occurring. They have first HIV, they have substance use disorder, and usually mental health. I have on my roster now about 25 patients. Out of the 25, about a third of them are Muslim, men and women. Of the Muslims who are there, they are there in part because there's really no place else for them to go. They go to NA, they go to AA, they participate, they need to go, they have to go, make a meeting every day, or some of them are making meetings. But when I meet with them individual and one-on-one, I find that there's something missing, especially among the Muslims, something missing. And that is, that thing in their heart that's missing is the love that they're looking for among the Muslims. The thing that is missing is that they sometimes can't make the connection between the Quran and what's happening with them and their substance use disorder. What's missing is that they're not getting the guidance, although if you read the book, it's in the book, but sometimes you need more than just being able to read the book. You need someone to to sit down and talk with, to bounce these ideas off of. And that's what, in part, Millati Islami is about. There's a place where you can come and sit and talk from an Islamic perspective about what's happening with you inside your heart, what's happening with you day to day, what's happening with you out there on the streets. Yeah, we can make it in here sometimes for the Jummah on a Friday. Might even be able to make a couple of prayers during the day. But as the brother was saying, from Pittsburgh, but then you want to go outside and see Sharif or Pookie, where you're going to get your drugs from. And I see it even in New Jersey. I'm working with a couple of communities there, and not Arab communities for the most part. And what the young people tell me, they're coming to the masjid. They're coming to the masjid. Why? Because their family is going to be there. Their family is going to be, and they're expected to show up, and they do. And then they tell me afterwards, then they go down the street, and that's where they do the crack, or the K2, or whatever it is they're going to do. After Jummah, but they fulfill their obligation for show. So I asked them, well, what's happening? I mean, don't you get something out of the Jummah, no. I mean, yeah, we hear the khutbah, either in Arabic or English, but we're not getting something. We don't have a place to go where we can take our issues, where we can have this discussion. And that's one of the things that Millati Islami does for the Islamic community. It's a fellowship of men and women joined together on the path of peace and spiritual wellness. Millati Islami, the path of peace and spiritual wellness. Now, many times in what they call addiction recovery, which is recovering, yes, you want to recover the joy that you had at one point in your life. When you were a child, a young person, you want to recover that joy that brings wellness. So we don't want to see I'm clean, yes, just for today. And there are people who are just for today, they're staying clean. The goal is wellness. Just for today, I'm clean because my goal is wellness. My goal is peace on earth. My goal is paradise, ultimately. My goal is being in such a position that when I pass on, I die, and I'm facing my Lord, He can say, well done. He can say, you stayed on the path. It's the mutual consultation that takes place in the Millati Islami that's important. Mutual consultation. One brother, one sister talking to another brother or sister about the issue. Quran tells us that we should come together in mutual consultation. Now, what usually happens in the mosque is that we don't want to have that kind of mutual consultation. We don't want to deal with those issues. Those people over there, we can't really trust them. After all, he's been in recovery for 4 or 5 years and keeps relapsing. Keeps relapsing. Although they'll tell you that relapse is a part of recovery. It doesn't have to be. But it is, in the process, a part of recovery. And the question of how well a person recovers, that's between you and your Lord. And that's not the issue of the community. The issue of the community is, I want for my brother, I want for my sister what I want for myself. We want the best. Millati Islami, I've heard a number of people say over the years, is based on the 12-step method. And directly, in terms of its historical development, that's true. But I want to say that 12-step is based on the religious model. It came out of the Oxford group. Read the history of Bill W. and Dr. What's his name? Silkworth, or whatever his name. I can't think of the name right now. Yeah, read that history. That the whole principles at first were based on religious, Christian principles in particular. having said that, I want to say that those spiritual principles, and we're talking about spiritual principles, are universal. It just happens that Dr. Bob Bill W. took these principles, these spiritual principles, and applied them in something called the 12 steps. So in fact, as in principle, the 12 steps are based on spiritual principles and books, the religious books, primarily Islam, the Torah, the Jewish books, and the New Testament. Those principles. And so one of the things we want to talk about is the spiritual roots of addiction. The spiritual roots of addiction. Well, you know, I was out there and, I'm hanging out with my friends, or somebody introduced me to this, and this felt really good. Okay. So you wanted to feel better. And that's what everybody wants to do, is feel better. I don't hear people talking about, I want to be sick. So people want to feel better. So when they have an emotional issue, for the most part, they want to do something to help to solve, I'm not feeling some kind of way. Somebody died in the family, I'm feeling sad. It's this thing, the feeling of emotions. It's emotions. Everybody has emotions. The question is not that you have an emotion. The question is what you do with it. What do you do with the feeling? What do you do with the feeling? There's two things there. There's the you, and there's the feeling. There's the you, who you are, and the feeling, and then what you do. Al-Quran, Millati, Islami, 12 steps, and AA are giving the steps, guidance on what to do with the feeling. So every time you feel like you want to hit, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to go on hit. I mean, acknowledge it, face it. Look the demon in the face and say, yo, but that's not where I am. Just for today, I'm going to stay on the path, just for today. So in summary, again, I want to acknowledge and commend all of the people I have ever met who were part of Millati Islam. I want to encourage them to continue to come. I want to encourage them to continue to spread the word. I want to encourage them to confront these imams. We're a little bit too passive about this stuff. Say, it's happening. We're having these experiences, we're going to face, we want you to face it. And not just being so passive about the imam. Hey, look, brother, you see what's happening to our youth? See what's happening here? Wake up. Go turn around one day and there won't be anybody sitting out there. Your children will walk away from you and say, why should I go in there? They're not doing anything for me, they're not showing me how to use the Quran and the Hadith. So I want to encourage people to continue to stay on the path just for today. Assalamu alaikum.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, with Allah, with God's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. We thank God for this occasion, this time here, to strengthen those who have been fighting a fight for a long time and think that there's no hope or there's no help. I appreciate and I thank God for allowing me to sit on the panel with such distinguished and intelligent men. I don't know how they put me up here, but God keep it straight. God knows best, right? And we want to encourage the program organizers to continue to spread the message of hope and the message of peace. And that's one of the meanings of Millati Islami. It means the path or the creed or the religion or the hope. And Islam is peace. So this is what this organization is designed to do. It is to bring hope back to a hopeless society because of the abuse and the misuse of illegal narcotics. I want to paint a picture. I'm not going to be long. I want to go biblical and Quranic to paint a picture. there was a man who heard a vision or heard a voice and told them to construct a boat. And he constructed the boat not by the water. He constructed the boat right in the heart of land. And as he constructed the boat, the people, his friends, his neighbors, his family, they were like, what's wrong with this man? What is wrong? What's wrong with him? What is he doing? And he continued to listen to the voice that instructed him to construct this boat. And he was warning them that if you don't help with this boat and get on this boat, you're going to be most likely be wiped out because of the corruption and the misuse and the abuse that we are doing to ourselves. As he constructed the boat, again, people are ridiculing him. But the society is still sick. And I make this analogy to say Brother Zaid and all those who have put this book together and this program together was the ones who architect the boat to be constructed in land. So they can pass this message out and get all of those couples, all those pairs to get on the boat and be safe from this disaster that is happening right in front of our eyes. We look outside. We don't gotta go. No, we don't have to go far at all. They used to have to go far and wide to see corruption and wrongdoing. You just open or pull your door open and hit the street and just turn left and turn right and you see it. So we thank God for our brother and whoever was the architects to put this together. Because this, even though it was manufactured after another model, that's what Al-Islam is. Al-Islam has been manufactured by the previous models that came before it. Talking about the Jews and the Torah and Prophet Moses and the Christians, Jesus, the Christ. And now you have Muhammad, the prophet, prayers and peace be upon him, in the same line of succession of bringing hope and peace back to a society. So our prophet says to us, he says, if one part of the body hurt, the whole body hurts. Now that doesn't mean you had to be on drugs. You have families that have suffered tremendously because of the abuse of drug use in their home. I can speak for me personally. My mother, who is the 20th child of 21 children, who was in Harlem on 121st Street. She didn't use drugs, but my family, because of all of the influences that's been out in the world, has been affected. And as long as you stay out in the world long enough, you can get the effects of the cold, right? You stay around a person who's sneezing long enough, if you don't take enough vitamin C's and cod liver oil like your grandmother and mother told you, you better get back on that cod liver oil, right? And you'll wind up being affected. So this is what happened to my family. And this is what happened to many of our families. So at Yusuf Shah Islamic Center, where I'm the Imam at Mount Vernon, we have Millati Islami. And that was one of the first things, you know, when a new leader comes in, and when the president or something, they give you the first order of action. That was my first order of action. Because I knew what it did to my family. I knew how it destroyed future scientists, lawyers, civil rights leaders, doctors, and philosophers for love and peace. So that's the first order of action. But my encouragement to us, and I'm talking to the architects that are working it now, that you have to come together. You can't do this alone. God calls us, he says, and I translate, إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحُ وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ يَدْخُلُونَ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ أَفْوَاجًا فَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ وَاسْتَغْفِرْهُ إِنَّهُ كَانَ تَوَّابًا. So for those who don't know what I'm saying, right? There are some, and there's not just you all that's sitting here. Oh, there's some people probably on this side that don't know what I said, right? It said, when comes the help in the opening from Allah, from God? When you come together in the social responsibility of our religion, and when you see them in crowds, celebrate and praise and glorify your guardian Lord, who is oft returning you to mercy. You are at the point of receiving God's mercy once you accepted the social responsibility to establish Millati Islami in your masjids, in your centers, and in your community. Now, God tells you now to go out and spread the word. And that's it for me. God's peace.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm thanking each and every one of you imams from the bottom of my heart for your time and effort in leading us in well distinguished messages. At this time of the program, we're going to break for Salatul As. Those of you who are non-Muslim can stay in your seats or sit to the side. And I'm going to ask Brother Abdul Shakur to call it on for Salatul As.
Not now.
We're gonna move the chairs over. The architects, I'm good. It's not.